Hello, it is towards the end of March 2023. I wanted to come back and give one more deck review video. This time we're looking at the Six Samurai deck. If you've been playing Duel Links for a while, this will definitely look familiar to you. But the reason I'm covering it now is because some of the cards have come off the ban list, and it is back to being a very powerful deck. I played some very, very good opponents that have used it recently, and if it catches you off guard, it can do a lot of damage really quickly. So I'll walk through the strengths of the deck. The first is definitely Disruption. It is one of those decks that's just going to stop you from what you're trying to do, and some of the newer traps that I've added work to that too. So how does it do that? Shien is the name of the game. You want to get one of the level 4 monsters out, and you want to get Fuma out. You want to Synchro Summon Shien, and Shien can zap any spell or trap card that your opponent activates once per turn. I have two of them here. There's not rare, or not uncommon, I should say, to get multiple out in the same turn. That means you can zap 2 spell or traps per turn, which is crazy. You can do it on your turn, you can do it on your opponent's turn, and very, very disruptive. But again, we have Warning Point, which is very disruptive. Ice Dragon's Prison, definitely disruptive, and Dual Wield, which is also disruptive. So a lot going on there for disruption and just stopping what your opponent is looking to do. If you're thinking about the meta right now, let's say you go first and you're playing against the Phantom Knights deck. Your opponent gets out the Rebellion Dragon and plays the rank up card. You can zap it and they can, in theory, never get out the Requiem Dragon. So that is completely stopped. Now, this isn't usually the biggest strength to me, but consistency with this deck is pretty incredible. To the point where you're very, very, very rarely are you not going to be able to get the cards you want going. And the reason for that is it's set up to keep drawing. It's set up so we have Reinforcement of the Army, we have 3 Samurais United, we have Shien's Dojo, and all of these are going to let you either draw cards to your hand or bring cards out to the field. And with that, you can cycle through like half the deck in one turn, and you're going to get what you're looking for there. That is a huge strength, and not something I would typically mention either, but I think the ease of obtaining most of the deck is very, very simple. I think for all of the 6 Samurai specific cards, they come from I think like one of 2 boxes. So you will have to go through those like 2 or 3 times to get everything you're looking for. But other than that, it's not like Elemental Heroes where you're working across like 12 different boxes for one specific card. You can get it pretty simply here. Now, those would be the strengths of the deck. For the weaknesses, I would say overall power is not fantastic. Like, you're not getting too many monsters out typically that are going to have 3,000 plus attack points. So if your opponent has a monster that has like 3,000 plus attack on the field, you have a few ways that you can combat it, but it's not as simple as something like, Mech Knights or something like Elemental Heroes that are going to have really, really powerful monsters. You are going to have to be a little bit creative at times. So I have the Rebellion Dragon in the extra deck. I have Malevolent Sin. Those would be 2 good counters, but it's not a deck totally set up for that. Enishi is the other one to mention where you can kind of have the same effect as the evac trap where you just pop it back to their hand. But, there's a couple of restrictions of when and how that can be done. So not the most reliant. And with that, there is a reliance on the effects of the monsters in some ways. So kind of special summoning and using effects, especially with looking at Shi En with what I mentioned with the disruption. You could get yourself into trouble if you start really relying on the effects. So if there's Phantom Knights that have the Requiem Dragon out and can counter it, or if you're going against the Mech Knights deck and they have Secret out and they're kind of zapping effects that way, you're probably going to be in trouble. Effects are pretty important to this deck really getting flowing. So a couple things to mention there. Like if you were to play against Phantom Knights and go second and they get every card they're looking for out in their first turn, could be a challenge, but I think that if people aren't expecting this deck, you can do really, really well. I would say you can get to King of Games pretty easily here, and at least something to have in your back pocket for something like a KC Cup. This is a deck I would definitely recommend there. So yeah, let me know what you think in the comments below. Coming off the ban list, is this a deck that you would consider playing? And, are there any tweaks that you've made if this is something that you're using too? Hope you've enjoyed and hope this has been helpful.